won't find the phantom.
G'day, this is Expand the Phantom podcast. Our website is chroniclechamber.com and you can subscribe to our podcast via YouTube or through your favourite podcast app. I am Jermaine. How are you all? This podcast is going to be a bunch of recordings from the Australian Phantom Weekend, which includes the video from Lauren Marshall, who spoke at the 2025 Lee Falk Memorial Bengala Explorers Dinner, as well as two recordings from Billy Zane, who completed many Q&As over 2 weeks. He did Q&As at Sydney and Perth Supanova, which we have recordings of. He also attended other events at theatres located in Sydney and Melbourne in between the 2 weekends. Thanks must go to those fans who helped us with these recordings, as we at Chronicle Chamber were unable to attend. As you will find out, Lauren has an amazing story worth listening to, and as you would tell from Billy Zane talking, he indeed has a soft spot about the Phantom. It is almost like every second answer he gave to a question came back to the Phantom somehow. In the Perth Q&A, he talked about how he would love to do a passing of the Phantom mantle to the next actor in a TV show or movie when it happens. I personally would also like to see that. You? Now let us hand off to Lauren and then Billy.
We have had an amazing group of guests over 36 or 37 dinners, people from at least 5 or 6 different countries, people from all walks of life. But many of them have been wonderful artists who've contributed to the canon of beautiful Phantom comic book art. And tonight is no exception. The difference about tonight is that they are far more tolerant of my bad jokes and humour, and just a little bit younger than what we may be accustomed to. I want all of you to make Lauren incredibly welcome in a Lee Falk Memorial fashion, as she tells us a bit about what it is that she loves, about Phantom lore and about being an artist. And also I want you all to go to her usual socials and Insta and everything else and support her for doing the amazing and wonderful work that she does. If you're not familiar with her fruit covers, they're gorgeous, and the rest of her oeuvre, check it out and support Lauren. And without any further ado, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me here tonight. It's genuinely an honour to be your guest speaker, and also a little bit intimidating, considering I'm standing in a room full of some of the most passionate Phantom fans in the country with a big H. I've seen the way you all light up when you talk about this legendary character, and I've also seen how things get terrifyingly intense when the bidding starts. Now let me confess something early. I'm not the biggest fan to radio. I know. I hope that doesn't get me escorted out. Look, whilst I didn't grow up with a stack of Phantom comics, I did grow up with a love of drawing. And I mean an obsessive love. Sketching in the margins of school books, doodling during family dinners, and even getting in trouble from a previous boss for drawing too much on the job. My bad. That passion eventually grew into a career as a comic illustrator, where I've had the chance to work on franchises like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, some in-game art for Spider-Man 2, and most importantly, contributing to the Phantom. It's been a wild, incredible journey, fueled entirely by the same kind of love and dedication I see from all of you tonight. And that's what brings us together tonight, passion. Whether it's for comics, storytelling, art, or let's be honest, winning that one-of-a-kind Phantom print you're ready to remortgage your home on. It's a deep connection to something we care about that drives us to do incredible things. They say the Phantom never dies, and judging by last year's bidding war, neither does your discrimination. There's something I've come to understand about passion. It's not always born of bright, obvious places. Sometimes it's forged in the dark, through resistance, rejection, and pain. Growing up, I was told no, more times than I could ever count. No, that's not a real career. No, you can't make a living doing that. No, illustration's not art, rewind. No, that dream doesn't belong to you. Those words came from teachers, from adults, from systems built to value certain paths and quietly dismiss others. I come from a very academic family, university degrees, stable jobs, traditional paths. I always felt like the odd one out. But that fire, that passion to create, to express, to draw, it was in me, whether they saw it or not. And every time someone said no, it chipped away at me, but it also motivated me. I carried those rejections like stones, quietly collecting them until one day I realised I could either let them bury me or use them as a foundation for something of my own. And I did. I fought for my path. I carved a place in the industry where all odds were against my favour, or weren't always in my favour. With a husband who proudly supports me, a little too much sometimes. I love him. And contributed to supporting me on my journey. And for a time, that fire burned really bright. Then I became a mother. The love I have for my daughter, Luna, is beyond anything I could ever imagine. Creating life is an incredible thing and something I would never change. But becoming a mother also pulled me into a place I did not expect. After she was born, I slipped into postpartum depression. And not just the kind that people talk about, the kind where you question everything about who you are. My art, the thing that always anchored me, felt very distant. My body felt foreign. My mind felt like it had been hijacked. The passion that once came so easily now felt like a memory I couldn't reach. I was lost, crippled by depression and stripped me of confidence, direction, and identity. There were days I thought, maybe I'm done. Maybe that's it. Maybe that version of me does not exist anymore. Maybe it's time to let go. And yet, something deeper refused. Something small but stubborn. A whisper that said, no, not like this, not just yet. Because that's the thing about passion. Even when it dims to a flicker, you choose to stay. If you choose to not give up, it begins to glow again. Not all at once, but enough to get going. And now, standing here with you, I look around and I see that same fire in you. In your love for the phantom, in your willingness to show up for something bigger than yourself, you've turned your passion into purpose. Tonight, into generosity. And that means everything. It's brought you here and it's fueling this night. And it makes a real change possible for families at Westmead Children's Hospital who know a thing or two about not giving up. You're using your love for a comic book hero to become real life heroes. That's just not noble. That's powerful. And really, what a better symbol of unwavering passion than the phantom. A hero who never gives up, who endures across generations. He's not just a man, he's a legacy. Known as the ghost who walks because he can't be stopped. He keeps going, no matter how many times he's struck down. And I think there's something incredibly human in that myth, because that's what passion is. It's what we do. We carry on, even when we're tired, even when we're being told no. We get up, we keep walking, and we become part of something bigger than ourselves. Community is what keeps that fire alive, is what keeps the story strong, just as it does in the comic book community. So please, never lose sight of that. Because when people come together around something they love, they create magic. Because when people, they create impact. This, tonight, is what happens when passion meets purpose. And it's a reminder that we don't do this alone. And we never have. Whether your passions aren't storytelling or the purple man himself, what matters most is what you do with that passion. And tonight, you've all turned it into something extraordinary. You're using your love for a comic hero to become heroes yourself. For families who are facing the hardest battles of their lives, I'm honestly in awe of this community. The love you have, not just for the phantom, but for doing good in the world. It's rare, it's powerful, and it's real. Thank you for walking this path together, and thank you for being the kind of heroes this world needs most. Now go forth, bid boldly, and remember, real heroes wear purple, or at least they bid like they do. Oh, and here's one for Jermaine. Think of PH. Thank you all for this absolutely fantastic night full of fun, fabulous people, fierce auction battles, and phenomenal passion. May your heart stay forever fueled and your wallets only mildly phantomised by tonight's beers. Keep the fire burning, pass the flame, and never forget you're all part of something truly freaking fantastic.
Thank you, Lauren. That was amazing. A quick comment that the silent auction is going to close at 9:15, so it's about 8:50 at the moment. Lauren, I can't let you get away without thanking you for a magnificent speech. Every time we gather, something new comes along. We've had people who've inspired us with amazing stories of drawing for decade after decade after decade in obscurity, loneliness and struggle in basements where their children grew up not knowing who Dad was or what he did, or being embarrassed about what he did. We've had people come and tell us stories of how difficult and what obstacles they had to follow their dreams and their passions. But tonight we have a first. We have someone who celebrated all the people in the room and referred to all of us as heroes, and that's pretty amazing. And I can't wait to go home and put that on my CV and on LinkedIn. Phenomenal, and you know there's a right way to spell that. Lauren, I've looked after a lot of women with postpartum depression, and they're probably the 24 bravest humans that I've worked with. And thank you for your extraordinarily and beautiful words.
It's so good to be here. Thank you. Australia, great to be back. I've had the distinct pleasure of making some of my favorite films in your fair country. Starting with Dead Calm. Have you heard of it? Phantom. My personal favorite. Invincible. Diamond of Giroux, Louis L'Amour classic. New World Order. There's a few other wonderful films, but I have to say the exquisite national character had permeated each of those films through the crew, who were the best crews I've ever worked with. Truly, well done. Without question. It's just everyone is so game and loves cinema and understands the beauty of quality light. And I'm fundamentally thrilled to be back here. Always. I can't wait to make more movies here with you.
Here we are. So, I have questions for you. Now we're going to get to the presentation. I'm going to get this line over here. So.
Oh, I can see it. I can't see anything. So you have beautiful light. You're completely blinded and entirely. You look
take it from me, we're over here.
fabulous. There it is. Thank you for not filming just because it's refreshing to be here now, right? As opposed to experiencing this through your screen. I always find it's a little more special. And it's a one-off, not hosted. So I feel lucky for being in the room. I'd love to open it up to you.
Yeah.
Is this for me?
all for you.
No, I feel rich in that. I get up a few at a time. It's huge. Start in the middle.
Yeah.
What do we got? How can I help you?
Oh, I've got Tara over here. Already, I'm going to show you the book so everybody knows
Show me the one. I wish I could see you.
Hello.
Hello.
My question is, what was the most excruciating experience while filming Titanic?
Excruciating. Wrapping that movie, ending it. It was fun. I mean, yeah, cold and wet, but you're making a sinking boat movie, so that was easy. What do you expect? Being spat on about 16 or 17 or 20, so I lost count. That was fun. Didn't expect that. Excruciating. They're all military expeditions, to be honest. And Cameron's he's an awesome general. First in the water, last out, nothing but respect. Great sense of humor that he's never really attributed to him. And he's it's a chain of command. He's a taskmaster, of course. Expects only what he puts out. So there was nothing excruciating. It was a pleasure. It sharpened the skills. And I think if you were up for it, you had a great time. If you didn't want it, there's the best challenge. And you find yourself packing. But it was awesome. All around.
Thank you. Oh, I'm still in the scene. It's not over here. This is Don. Don's not one of those old, one of the other person.
Yes.
I've been a huge fan of you since back in the movies. All of the movies, and also welcome to Sydney.
So much.
So my question is, if you would get an offer role in both DC and Marvel universe, which one would you go for? DC or Marvel?
I'm a big fan of Adam West's Batman. I'd like to reshoot all of those episodes with new stunt casting and play Adam West's Batman in the TV series. That would be, I think, an absolute delight. I think we've got plenty of contenders for The Dark Knight. I don't think we need to go any. Can you go dark? You can always go darker. Not my bag. That's why I love the Phantom. He's a happy hero. He's well adjusted. He's happy Batman. I can't sit down and do it.
You played Quick Walker.
I enjoy the joy of heroics, and that's what really drew me to the Phantom. That's what I think resonates with audiences on a DNA level. He's a do-gooder. Any piracy, tyranny, cruelty in all its forms. It's not a postmodern, line-blurring anti-hero. That's what I like about Adam West Batman. It was fun and enjoyed the job. And I think we need to make kind of white hat hero movies a little more. It's what I find when we all come to the table and I meet you. I look forward to doing it. I haven't met some of you already. Pleasure. I love hearing the stories between families and what connected you to that film and to each other. And I think it was the inherent goodness. That's what I love. That silly as
Please set some noise for the Phantom as well. Very big deal over here. Now,
it shows because you've exported it in all of your actors. All of your actors are taking all of our jobs because they're kid walk. You don't have those comics as prevalent at the news agents. I remember, everyone was buying these things. We were making Sniper and Dead Comic. I was professionals buying a comic book or why are kids buying this comic book? Because of the resonance of this character. It's just in the national character. And you export it with all of your actors are basically
Why they like that we got the mark on it. I have got Cruz over here. Hello, Cruz. It's going to be next question, Cruz. What's your question, Cruz?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. I went to a theater camp when I was about your age in Wisconsin. I grew up in Chicago. My parents were on the stage. I grew up watching them. And they exposed me to classic cinema, which I really recommend if your parents aren't doing, you watch. Adventure movies, a bit of a lost art, and they're also a gateway into the literature. It's a great way to be introduced to some great books and understand the foundations of storytelling as really get what makes up a story. And so it easily comes watching some great films. One of my favorites to this day is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It's a perfect movie. Captain's Courageous and anything that, that's why I love The Phantom starts with a young boy. But as an actor, I think the fundamentals I would recommend are the why. And I found being of service, like wanting to create a level of joy and relief and beauty, but really like what lifts. The ancient Greeks kind of did, which was the theater they created was to move the needle on civilization. It was to like, how do we evolve as a society? How do we become better individuals and better collective? And it sounds a little heady, but I'm giving it to you as an 11-year-old because it's foundational. So the big three: be of service. Do it for a bigger reason than cash money or a good table or, only meet some girls. Although they're okay. But aside to the big one. The next one is bless your competition. Don't lament what you don't get in an audition, because it always explains itself about 10 minutes later. And then this is a life lesson I've learned from many things, but acting is a really great way to practice. Because you're either getting the gig or you're not. It either works or it didn't. You need to kind of be like, whatever, next, here we go. Don't lament seeming lost opportunity because there are none. Don't do what you're not going to do and get out of the way of someone else's destiny. Never about the movie. They might end up meeting someone on that phone who have a kid and will cure cancer. What's right for you will show itself if you hold on to lesson one, just be of service. Everything else follows in the tracks. Third, dress for success. No one wants to hire an unemployed actor. They don't want to be the first. Look like you don't need the job. More to the point, act like you don't. Carry yourself in a manner that you deserve. And be nice. Just be nice. That's it. So that's it.
When is the calendar coming out of the teaching?
I think that's a calendar. We're not married.
I have a question for David. You're coming over.
Listen. Hey, before you say it, hold on. Say a few more of these docile tones. So you're like DJ questions.
Actually, I'm always after using my freedom.
Fabulous. Keep it up.
And actually, we're not on the web. Two questions. We listen to that.
wouldn't know. I have no idea. I have not heard that rumor. I will add it to the mill. Curious one. It's always nice to hear. I'm not aware of this. But thank you for the nod to come to the heart. You know, curious and possibly the darkest dialogue I've ever uttered. Yet coming from Disney, which is really quite a character. It was fun to play I guess the tones, technically speaking, as voice actors. It was interesting to go. Ironic because you have a sense of mind, personal preferences, Rio. It's always funny to be playing these darker characters. I tend to play every role. It's a comedy, but you don't know that. Rewatch everything through the eyes. There's a perverse humor behind a lot of that's what they do, except Kingdom Hearts. There's no room for them. I'm glad you like it. I'm proud of it. It's like it was a starter for in the realm of voice acting and gaming, I know it's certainly significant. It was great.
This is Alistair, by the way.
Yes. What is your experience of doing annual refugee
It's fascinating to get more love for a role and perform for about 5 minutes. Playing myself and 35 years of character work. It's really quite something. You never know what's going on. No, I thoroughly enjoy people either shouting, put a fork in it, saying, or listen to your friend doing something. It's I have over-listened to things. We improvised them all. It was simply an invitation to show up to set and see what happens. You know, we figured he needed someone in his corner, so I backed him up, and then we just made it all up. And it was really hard not to laugh for the entire session. I never knew what was coming, especially on Owen's mouth. He seemingly enjoyed saying my name, and then Ben enjoyed saying it. Everyone was just died. Imagine hearing that for the first time in New York. What are you doing? It was so silly, but so grateful as it's become a curious evening. Curious. Well, I hope I answered your question. I like that drink.
I have a big friend here. He's yes, over on my seat.
I wish he was
Over to your left.
Let's see, I'm like, we can call him all the way over there. Yes, he is. It's a good big man. How it is. Big Ben, what was your question?
Billy Zane, just listening to say you're a very smooth dude. You guys are very good and you're amazing. Can you give us some great advice that you're looking for about not having regrets with roles that you like to sound from? I guess I know it's the really amazing game roles like yourself. Is there any roles that you felt like you did better? Like, how did you come to
that one, I regret not getting that one. What the hell?
What's that philosophy of it?
Sorry? Thank you. Sorry. I'm going to lapse in my philosophy. That would have been nice. I was living in England when they were passing the reboot with Canada. And I was Sean Connery's mom was training. Sean Connery, Gene Kelly, Cary Grant, Charlemagne, these were the pillars, these were the masters, this was the North Star of cinema. But yeah, that would be
Anyone who would do an absolutely fantastic cheese ball.
Influence, what we say.
Right out of the two congressmen. I have this the way here is quite fun. It's easy to spot. Here's a specific, goal question.
The fancy suits that you wore, I don't know what the rest of the fancy suits. So hot. How did you handle the long shoots with the suit? And would you ever take it to shave with one method?
Well, I'm wearing it now. Never took it off. I was curious because when it arrived on a hanger, it was this big. Yeah, I had that genius idea of denying muscle suit, which I form and such. I said, no, it's naturalist hero. Like a rugby player, he had, beefcake. You wouldn't fake it. Which of course required me going to the gym for a year. And that was, I didn't regret it, I enjoyed it. And I love what it forced me to do. I ripped a lot of them. I was constantly getting cut, and there was no protection, no padding. We went through a lot. And I still have one full copy with the towel and the boots and holster. You never know when you need it. And how did you find it? You found it restricted?
I was going to add something that you were especially Phantom Opera, but who's the Phantom as the Phantom.
The go-to place order. The go-to sings and dance. The music of the drum. Never the drums.
I'm happy to hear something wrong going on.
Over there. People, hello. What's your question?
Have you seen the video of Paul Kennedy's impersonation of the Phantom as he had his own show, the Paul Kenny show? We look it up on YouTube.
What year did you do?
I would have been in the late 70s.
Not seen.
Go YouTube, Paul Kenny as the Phantom.
Like you said,
and now, look at you, individual,
his arm's been up, he's the Phantom. That left arm is so strong, he's not that raised for about 25 minutes. I did a cast.
what's the name of the pyramid? What is the capitalist country?
I was looking at data not the other night. I was going to tell you every time shows that we were just doing careful on making that particular film.
For asking, one of my favorite characters as well. Phantom Demon. Tales from the Crypt, if you haven't seen the film, it's again, it's probably lost genre of color comedy. I really agree with that. I love that but it was, it's nice that they really got the catch and release scare tactic with false sense of security and a good jump. A lot of great in-camera effects, creature, old school, an incredible cast, and a character that was a demon who on page wasn't really amazing, but it seemed to work in a really effective and entertaining way. And the inspiration for it, at the time I had seen Robin Williams do Aladdin at the theater on Broadway, the Disney movie. And it was amazing to see. It was then that I realized that animators follow actors. Actors want voice animation that's pretty broad. And there's no way Robin Williams just riffing as he does. And as a person, I got a sense of that. Only that actor really took me to go, no, I'm willing to stand it. And it's really quickly. And I thought, oh, that's fascinating. And then watching the film, I thought, the ability of the genie was to conquer whatever he needed to make a point out of evil, and it was to move at a rate that was equally amazing. Jim Carrey, it was fast and sharp. And I was doing, within a theater company, that Tim Robbins started at UCLA over 5 years ago. And I was in early, right before I came here, in '85, in '87. And it was based on Canadian law, which was very strong archetype, really physical, but grounded and sincere. But it was very sharp in its technique. And also at the time, working in this company, and a very young Jack Black who was coming back with us. And you can see it in Jack's work. Now movement between joy and frustration. Sharp changes, that was all the style. So that was very present and available to me at the time. So I was doing this movie, I just came off the stage and was doing it. And I was inspired by Robin's genie. Can you make this demon really entertaining and persuasive using a variety of supernatural abilities? And for the musical number is there, and it seemed to work and land with the well-known genre of a spooky monster movie. And it just seemed to work. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's kind of like a starter work for horror. It's a good way to use it. And if you're super slasher,
Yeah. Hi, Jess. What's your answer?
Look at you, Beatrice. Round of applause for Beatrice, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Let's see what comes on. I can't quite hear you. Can you put the microphone closer?
What was the project coming back to the future, which leads into my next question of what are the pros and cons of being the supporting actor versus the leading man?
None whatsoever. Okay. Back to the future was my first professional job in Hollywood. But my baptism in my friend was incredible. I was there only 2 weeks. It's another good case. Probably why gratitude is a weird event to service because charm, so to speak. And movies were always nostalgic to me. Classic cinema, like we talked about, so showing up at the set on the studio, hot block, immersed in the 1950s, setting, wearing the clothes, singing the cars. This was cinema. Really being the movie, looked at the movie, felt the movie at that scale was a great gift. As was sneaking off at lunch to terrorize the Universal Studios world. Which was awesome. You'd sneak off the trams and go to the second house and move little curtains in the bottom and scare them and sit in ambulance to show up at or dodge the flood in Mexico, just before, just took a lesson in the international law. And that was an incredible playground and imaginary for shaping an appreciation for cinema. And it's a sense of play. So I attribute a lot to that. Part 2 was equally interesting, which was to watch the origins of some of the early tech motion control cameras, which in order to have Michael here and there and be like a seamless shot, we started to use robotics for the first time. And this is like a track where the camera would run and do the exact movement. Michael would run and then change the outfit, and we do the same shot with people over yonder that would look and get married and be seamless. And this was, watching them test this with the trailer, the company, cinematographer, the cinematographer, again, and they're almost, sitting there watching like the Wright brothers and dial it up. I don't know, the cinema fall, I'm not sure. And that was incredible to witness and to watch. Another great privilege. And I can't believe what it means. It's a legacy from that was a gift that keeps giving and keeps showing up to your kids and your kids and their kids. It's a great thing. And I recognize these projects this is funny here with the Sam is the smoothest guy I know. No, he's the biggest. Like, he was so generous and funny and cool. And he was building his retreat and vineyard at the time. I've never seen his blueprints. It was 2 blocks. He was living his dream. He was living his best life, and still is. I was always a fan since beyond the watching his movie and he was living his best life. He was original, incredibly gifted, and really was on the turning story, talking about that before he became his love started. And the cover was equally impressive. looking at the next thing that was the bureaucracy and roasting. I owe for the monks for bringing me here and making a audition for the rock and roll movie. All the energy and afterwards she gave me a script of the yellow people come. We felt the burn memory. I said, look at this. Director's in town. He's leaving soon. Maybe he should be it. Sure. I went home and I read honestly this thing was going to be June. And I went in and I was wearing the exact same suit this time. And I didn't get to the job there. It was just weird. I was just wearing some 80s crushed, soft, fake, silk, movement, some cheesy picture, purple version. Just rubbish. It was kind of fun. The girl had this short suit. And I remember proposing things. Finding the good in the danger of that way. And he responded to that. Improvising a little bit. I guess the fourth note, young man, is to offer what is not expected in your relation. Take it where maybe they're not thinking it can go, but only you can deliver. And they'll open up to that and realize that you're the one for that job. So I did that when I was very young. Otherwise, I might not have thought to. And it carried me through. So I knew that gave up ideas. Not just doing it to sort of take direction, but offer colors to their palette. These directors don't want to babysit. And they want to know you're going to bring something, bring your A game, and bring more than they're considering. And they appreciate the moxie and the confidence of being a collaborator, rather than just someone who needs to put some knowledge and bring time for it. So, it's a delicate balance, but make great choices. And follow his mind.
What we did when we did we used the version. Because the first was a whole the family's name in one place.
Where is this word? Have it? I'll take it.
Okay, here we go. In the meantime, we have, this is really good.
I want to ask, so Twin Peaks is my third TV show. It's still the test of time, it's still popular today. They played more than half on streaming on TV. I'm just wondering how you feel people have such a legacy and how you, the time working on it, family conversation as well. How you feel about still being drivers and a popular show?
Well, yet another gift that keeps giving. Thank you for the question. Huge fan of Twin Peaks. Changed television forever. Saw the first season and told anyone who wanted to be on a part of it. Everyone was falling in love with the cast and it looked like nothing else. And she was a genius. And a lesson for being the only guy who had to understand at that time I was pretty, Hollywood loves its boxes, right? I need to do something that works with them, that doesn't go. They assume that's your nation, that's what we do, and I was a crazy guy on a boat. That's who you call. Sled water, and he nutted on a ship called Zane, and he Lynch always Cooper kind of guy. I know. The dude is, is cuckoo from another horse. I was so grateful because that's what I initially wanted to do. And the kind of roles I imagined playing. And, so to get to be John Justice Wheeler, saving endangered species, flyer, jet, flame to hello, Sherilyn Fenn, and the appointment of Ancient One, which was the actress person. And that was just, that was an epic and beautiful time. At the time, I think it was harder. Like, when was all the Harvest Time was in the theaters? It was David's Minute when we were filming season 2. And it was all, and Heart-Shaped World, Chris Isaac's iconic, beautiful ballad, was on the radio as #1. And I would drive to the studio and I would play at least 4 times in the journey. I took, I take a field called Lynch, and that was it. I was in the zone. It was another incredibly fortunate, completely immersive, and lovely experience. Again, I can only attribute to the pillars and the renewal of David B. Doug and do it for a good reason and try to create whatever that feeling is you seem to feel on some of the organizations to be part of. Trust me, there's a lot of churches and a lot of dogs out there, right? We all know. It's a job, right? But you gotta do your best work in your seemingly worst movies. And never walk through everything. Because we're tradesmen, we're roofers, we're volunteer building industry. And once in a while, all of us conspire and be there and people. Yeah, most of the time it's an adult. But, it's kind of pretty good.
You do get, it's not like that makes you want to cameos of yourself. And to let people do it, and we are very, Ross here, the series is one of them. Ross, what did you want to
Actually, a picture of the feelings to the next and probably for the next student to try to get a benefit. But the question is building the community. How would you go with the Christmas answer to become a leader?
What was it like working with Kristen? Yeah, was that the question? What matters? What did it do? And perfect. She was fantastic. Perfect guy. And she was really played beautifully, kind, funny, good sport. Working with the wolves, radio voices, saints. They cut out a few scenes in that movie, which I wish they kept. They wrestled a lot. Come back. Yeah. And the boa constrictor. I can't remember the boa constrictor. We'll find out tomorrow. You remember the screen? Anyone here remember the screen? They try to make it for the attendance. So it should be fun to see it projected. I haven't seen it on the screen. 20 years. But yeah, there was this very funny scene where showing her my ravine, and there was a jump by a line, and it blew west. And then you see me laugh, and I'm petty. And then we're walking, and she realizes we're all friends. And then I walk in front of the beach, and she looks back, and oh, the stickers are up there. It's a bit like, you have to understand, this is, the people who made the Indiana Jones films made famous. This came out of Canada. Every born throughout the last crusade. Wonderful, right? So the gaps, the balance of adventure and story of my life. The Lion had just come off of Ghost in the Darkness with Al Kilmer. And Michael Douglas still had white makeup behind his ear. He was a white one. And Joe, the trainer, and I had to slide out of the real line and pretend to be smaller than me. Crazy. I'm gonna do this. No CGI. Gladiator. Putting a mouth around your head, pretending to be normal, only to then start laughing, only to then hear. Then they cut it out of you. You know, the rest of the line, you know, is silly. Oh, it's kind of creepy. Sorry, I kind of had some business response. Yeah, she did great. Wild animals, including the crew.
Together for Mr. Billy Zane.
Hello, Perth. How are we? What took me? What a pleasure. It's amazing here. What was I thinking? Went to the beach yesterday. Caught a swim. Gorgeous. Went to prison. Got out. Put a good word in with the warden. What an absolute hoot. This is a lovely theater. What do they play here? Oh, Jesus, me. How about those trailers? I'm excited for Superman. Looks happy. Right? Yeah. Happy heroes. That's why we like the Phantom. Right? Well adjusted. No trauma drama. Come on. You know, dads die. It's a family business. We know. What's the deal? Right? That's why he steps up. I love that. I love that about the national character as well. It's like there's something, the manhood or blokehood, or the fact that he's just so, he's got animal friends, right? Who's got animal friends, for Christ's sake? He's got the best man cave I've ever seen. He's got a girlfriend. He's happy. What's not to be happy about?
So we're going to start just with questions. It's all right. That's okay.
I assume we have some questions.
We do have questions. People
would love to hear
if you want a question.
And thank you for not taping. Let's be here now, right? Live without the lens, how boring is that? You get home, the footage is never, half as good as the time you would have had you seen a concert or the live experience. And I find it crackles. The room, we congeal in a neat way. The vibe is better. We're all somehow present in the quantum and connected ever so. So thank you for doing that. Besides, you all ask the same questions every single day. It's all online, and we want to keep it special. And, yes, hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Probably been asked this question. What was James Cameron like working on the set of Titanic? I heard he can be a bit of a hard ass, I guess. And how was it working in that water? Was it warm? Was it cold?
I'll answer the second question first, just to get it out. It was cold. It was very cold, as it should be. And, no complaints. You're making a movie about a sinking ship in cold water. It's like, you're going to be cold and wet for a long time. And he was the first in the water and the last out, so respect to him. He was awesome. Not really known for his comedy. He's a funny man. He's a funny man. He's a smart man. And smart people. Funny people are smart. You got to be smart or something like that. But he's both of those things clearly, and not celebrated for that in particular. We both enjoy wordplay, and we were charmed by the absolute, absurdity of Cal and the fact that he was such a tool, learning in real time. We just, we found him very amusing. And I love the guy. He was he's cool and loves solving problems with a room full of engineers or experts and non-experts. It's just solving for X. He's infinitely curious, and that's what makes him a good director. And if there's any directors in the house, and even if you want to be a director, drop the want. You are a director. All the tools are in your pocket right now. We didn't have those. So there's no excuse for you not to be filming now. Or not right now. But when you leave this room and you start your feature or your limited series, be curious and just start creating. That's what he did. The guy was a truck driver. Talk about a bloke. He was, truck driver in Canada, rented a camera, took it apart, put it back together, went, okay, that's how that works, and just started making movies. Smart guy. Yes, sir.
Question over here. Yes, I've got another director question. Can you tell us some favourite moments of working with David Lynch on Twin Peaks?
Certainly. The pleasure of working. I mean, how about that, right? I feel so blessed to have those two questions land. What's it working like with James Cameron? What's it working like with David Lynch? These are not lost on me, I assure you. There's no point where you get jaded enough to think that that's just normal, to work with such lovely people. Sally Potter, director of Orlando, what just great directors. Philip Noyce, your countryman. I owe it all to him for bringing me here to do Dead Calm. I'll get to Lynch in a minute, don't worry. But I'm going to blow a little more smoke up Australia's skirt because I love it here so much. But we'll get back to him momentarily. David Lynch. I'm very grateful for him for being smart enough to be a contrarian and cast against type. After working for Mr. Noyce and being a nutter on a boat, Hollywood liked to put you in a little box because that's, for a bit. So I was the crazy guy. I was the psycho that he liked to cast and had to turn down a lot of jobs to not stay in that space for too long. And he wisely realized he had an entire cast of offbeat characters in the lunatic fringe, and he figured if I'm going to have a straight dude, a Gary Cooper-like heroic, stable individual, I'm going to cast the crazy guy on a boat to be him. So he cast against type, and I was very grateful for him for doing that. He was very smart and generous and cool and changed television as we know it, based on color timing and taste and cool music, and he would turn his sound cart into a DJ booth and play music to unite the crew around. The fastest way to connect a group of people is through music, really, and food. Feed them well, play them good tunes.
Question just here.
Hey, I'm going to ask a Phantom question. What was it like when you met Lee Falk, the creator? Did he give you any guidelines or any tidbits or anything like that when you met on the set?
I didn't understand who you mentioned. Oh. Sorry.
Lee Falk, the creator of Phantom?
Yes, sir. Lee Falk, the creator of the Phantom. That was just classic. I met him and his wife Elizabeth and remained friends with them. Lee was very generous, and I'm so grateful to him for just simply getting what I was reflecting. He put it out. I recognized it. It reminded me of a lot of the references perhaps he drew from classic cinema at the time when he was creating that character, and that's just what I figured I'd play with Kit was, Errol Flynn, John Wayne, a swashbuckling, happy guy, a good guy, and he was grateful for that at a time when the anti-hero in a postmodern kind of bent, a blurry line between heroics and villainy was fairly prevalent. I drew in primary colors and stayed on that side of the line, and he was grateful and cool. And and stylish. He looked like Mandrake. Cool penciled-in mustache and a rakish grin. I think he drew himself. He really, it was like, look at that, look at the jawline on that guy. Good-looking man.
I think from memory, Phantom was the first feature-length film done at the Gold Coast Studios after it opened. So I was a casting director at the time, and it was the first feature-length film that was actually done there. So you have the honour of being the first lead of the first ever major film shot out of that studio.
Well, thank you for informing me. I had no idea. Sure, I'll take credit for something I had no idea. Thank you.
Question.
Hi, so first of all, I really enjoyed you as P.T. Barnum, the one time you played that in, I think, Legends of Tomorrow, was it? Pete, the circus performer. That's not the question, but I wanted to ask you, because I know you really vouched for the role of the Phantom, you were very enthusiastic about that when it was being made. I wondered, because there hasn't been much word on a new movie anytime soon, if they did make that, what would you really want to see from that, especially in a landscape filled with superheroes so different from what we used to have? And if they did make another one, would you possibly want to play a role in that, perhaps like passing the torch to the next generation as per the spirit of the comic?
It would be an honor to carry the mantle and pass the torch, as it were. It is a father-to-son business, and 25, now almost 30 years later, it would make sense. He'd have a son chomping at the bit to squeeze into the purple lycra. And it's something I had thought of for a while, and there's been quite a bit of regime change at Paramount. Every time we can have a conversation about it, someone else new is running it, and it makes it hard because the newbies never want to make what the last executive has greenlit or approved. So it's been a bit tricky. There's a new sheriff in town called Skydance who's now hopefully going to be making some good decisions, and we will revisit the work with them. It's something I hadn't thought of. In the advent, the advancement of short-form content on streaming platform and online has now made it an interesting space as opposed to just another film. I like the idea of maybe exploring the serial, the way the first, series was made. A cliffhanger is I think, a really interesting way to approach it for a modern audience as opposed to a full-length feature. I think it might be fun to do that, incorporating almost elements of slight animation, playing with AI, you wait around long enough, some things turn up that you wouldn't have considered before, and it's almost by design. So I think by the time they end up doing something, hopefully collaboration, there'll be all of the tool sets will be in line, and it will resonate, at least in the delivery system, with a modern and younger audience who really need, I think, the message of that great character and the moral compass and the ethos of it. There's a hand raised right there.
Yeah, just got one there. And then
I'll be back.
That's okay. Actually, I was doing a panel with a whole bunch of Phantom comic artists last week. We came up with an idea, this would work well with you. We had somebody fighting in the Phantom's cave, but an older Phantom reviewing all those logs of the Phantom, and then each episode would be a different adventure from a different time, a different Phantom, all held together by the one character, just going through.
That's interesting. Anthology is such a great organizing principle. There's so many ways, as long as you have an agreement, you can play with incredible variation, and the audience will follow you. So I think it's cool.
We have a question.
Statement first, then question. It is a shame that after the first Phantom movie, there was going to be 3 others, and the final was going to lead into the Defenders of the Universe movie. But I still think you did an amazing job doing that film. Question would be, did you get to keep the suit or any of the guns and merchandise?
I'm wearing it right now. I mean, never really took it off. You know, I tend to your earlier comment, I of course, would have loved to have immediately jumped into sequels, but I tend to subscribe to the notion that everything is perfect. And, you know, it always reveals itself, your plan. If you hold on to the thread of service, or again, back to the moral compass, the inherent goodness of this character, good things happen. You know, bad stuff bounces off your force field out there, and you attract what you need and what serves, if you're in service. And I feel like, by design, the right thing will reveal, and the delivery will come, you know, and in the right way. So don't fret, you know, sure. Question.
The Phantom was the very first movie I bought on VHS that started to go fuzzy. We watched it so much as a family growing up. It was fantastic. The question I've got for you, I wonder what draws out your heart when you're reading scripts? What tends to be the thing that gets you interested in it when you're reading all the ones that you're reading, I imagine?
When I call them the 180s, which is usually what you end up doing with a script, with working with a director, is turning things on their head and inverting tropes. You know, if there's a you know, all too tired kind of relationship between a, you know, moaning teen and their mom, you know, and it's like, oh, again, I have to kind of slog through this cliche, but it's like when something is, you know, if they move past something, if characters have like taken it past a collective timeline, it's not lazy. I just don't like lazy writing or lazy character development. If it feels like, you know, after advertising has cannibalized, you know, John Hughes silos of you know, archetypes. You're the nerd, you're the jock, you're the hey, okay, great. 50 years later, 40 years later, we're still, you know, selling Tim Tams in the same way, you know, family relationships, and then TV imitates that. It's like we gotta move past it. So I look for intelligent characters who have made a cultural leap in their journey, and then a writer who understands that the function, you know, the why of storytelling. Like the ancient Greeks, I mean, they did it for, you know, they had to. This is how they moved civilization. It's like, right, let's create something that's gonna, you know, get us out of the, you know, caves. It's like, great, theater, cool. What's the point of theater? To move the needle, to push the dial. And we just keep advancing and then introduce these concepts like, oh, democracy. There you go. Pythagorean theory, perfected math, groovy. So the why still is prevalent and critical. Just because we have iPhones doesn't mean we're done. We haven't landed. We just got to always make smarter choices. And stories are where we learn how to be people, better people. Ideally, movies is where what they should be. So I look for a writer who knows that. Otherwise, money.
Wasn't it Michael Caine who said in an interview, the interviewer said to him, you've done some really bad movies, why? And he said, for the money.
No, you know, bad movies are funny things because it's never about the movie. Something happens in your gut, you go, God, this is terrible, I'll do it. And it's always about the people. I've had some of the most profound experiences working on the shittiest films. And you do your best work in the worst movies, you have to, because it will always cut through. And you never walk through anything, right? So you bring your A game when it's needed the most, and in the process, you find it challenges your ego, and it challenges your, it just keeps that thing that we all need every day. Active and sharp and tuned in a social contract, right? To get the best out and put the best out. But I find on the so-called turkeys, on the bad movies, I've had not only the best time, but have found just profound connectivity with people who are there for the same reasons. We're builders, we're roofers in a volatile housing industry. It's like, it's a craft. And unless you're making your own, which is always a pleasure and an incredible slog, you're in service, and it's a pleasure to work, this long, as long as I have. I'm honored by the legacy movies that I've been part of. I'm so, I can't even believe some of the titles when you look at them, really? I didn't squeeze that in. It's such a treat. But, I'm emboldened by the bad. They're special. Not just bad or small or whatever they categorize as. They make the bravest choices. It's your duty to take brave choices with a lower budget and a group of people trying to make something important.
We have a question here. When you were growing up and even now as an adult, is there any movies or TV shows that you watch and you just get excited about and thinking, wow, I really want to be in this? Not just as an actor, but also just as a member of the audience or a viewer at home.
Is there a TV show that I watched that I wanted to be part of? I think was that question that moved me. The Wild Wild West. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's
the decent version, not the movie.
The original TV. It's Robert Conrad. It's basically James Bond as a cowboy working for the government. Amazing show. Just full of stunts and gadgets in the Old West. Not the movie remake kind of ran out and Kevin Kline. That was interesting. And Will Smith, I think.
Will Smith, yes.
Yeah.
He took over the Robert Conrad role.
Right. Jim West.
Yeah.
And but the original series was just awesome. Yeah, that was fun.
Now, I'm hoping this is a question and not some sort of something else. We do have a question, right? I'm not going to keep on it or go mad at him or do anything. Hi, Rose. How are you?
How far can you spit?
Yes, I do have a question. Obviously, you had a lot of really amazing roles, but it's pretty obvious which one my question is going to be about. Regarding Cal, you were saying obviously he was a bit of a tool, to put it lightly, and not excusing the abusive behaviour he showed, but there's a lot of talk about Rose having been confined and oppressed in the film. And I think as well, in the era, that men were also confined in their own ways, and Carol was sort of expected to join the family business and do the right things and find the right girl and give her a diamond and take her to Europe and all that sort of thing. And we get a bit of a glimpse of that in when Carol gives her the heart of the ocean and he wants to connect with her but doesn't. And I'm hoping maybe you can shed some light on the question that comes up in the Titanic fan community at the end when Carol looks for Rose. Is it because he always wins one way or another, or is it because he actually really cared about her? Did you have a thought in terms of what Carol's motivation was for going back to look for her?
Not to cop out, what was your thought?
He wanted the diamond back.
I actually think it was a little bit of both, and I think maybe he really just didn't know how to connect with her other than in the way that society told him that he should. That's my feeling I got from how it was played, but I don't know if that's the tension behind it.
I think he was profoundly changed by the experience. Realizing first in real time that the Bohemian rated Jack as a potential rival, which was in his mind inconceivable. It was just entertaining until it was like, what? And that was like suddenly just a focus to an entire demographic and group, and just like his mind went more like that, and then having always convinced he'd get off the boat, more concerned about finding her, which is incredibly arrogant and kind of funny. And it's like, man, sinking, schminking, where's the chick? Once he, witnessed the ridiculous amount of loss and tragedy, and spent time, I think, in the life. I think he was incredibly changed, and he looked for her. He always loved her. That was no question. Just was learning in real time how to maybe understand her love language a little bit better. He didn't think he really kind of got that until later. But he, I think he was looking for her, certainly not the diamond. And not because he wins. There were no winners, really, that night.
And since you're standing here, we just want to tell you there was room for Jack on the door. Now sit down.
So I'm wondering, have you kept up with the superhero genre in film in the last 10 or so years when it's exploded? And how would you feel, as a veteran of the superhero world, how do you feel it is now? Do you think it's going in the right direction? Especially because it's so broad now, with having Peter the Boys and there's all the animation and all the films, Marvel, DC. Just wondering, how do you feel the direction is going? And do you think there is such a thing as superhero fatigue?
I'm doing my best to understand a word you all are saying. You have to understand. It's just like, what? It's first thing, these acoustics are insane. They're just are hard to hear. But wow, the accent's like pretty strong.
Basically, what he's asking is, as an original superhero, do you think
even that word? A what studio?
Original superhero.
Thank you.
Original superhero.
Yes.
What do you think of the current world of superheroes? Good or bad?
Thank you for the clarity. Distillation. Oh, good, bad. Well, good. No, I mean, I think we're coming out of a tiresome wave of ever darkening nights, which is like, where else can you go? So I appreciate pulling out of the nosedive that seems to be happening. Looking forward to Superman. I like the fact that his dog's in there. It might be a little more cheerier. I enjoyed, many years of differentiation with the Phantom because people would make a point of telling me how much they resonate and connect with the character, and that was cool. And I hope, look, I'd like to see, I appreciate a lot of the humor in the Marvel in the universe that's been kind of coming in. Got a little tired of aliens fighting superheroes. That was kind of like a net zero. Like I didn't, level playing field. I never got that. Like just watching, two people beat each other up and destroy a city over and over again. It was like that's, But I like the fact that there's someone with superpowers among mortals. It was interesting. It was enough. And it's nice to see that return. I hope the other creators pull from that playbook and bring a little joy and lightness into the mission. James Bond took a turn as well. It used to be aspirational fantasy, absurdist, if anything. And it was great. And the minute it turned into Jason Bourne, I was like, no, you used to want that job. No one wants that job. It was horrible. It's a horrible game. But hopefully we're coming back to understanding, the artifice and the fantasy and escapism and the good lessons that come into it as well.
We have a question here.
How long have you been acting, and what was your favourite person to act?
To portray. Thank you. What's your name, son? What's your name?
Oliver.
Oliver. Such a good one. Thank What was the first part of the question about acting?
How long have you been acting?
How old are you, Oliver?
9.
Since I was 10. You have 1 year. What are you doing here? Go study, start. I went to theater camp in Wisconsin. I grew up in Chicago, in the city, and I went to camp at 10, and we did Oklahoma and big musicals. And my parents were on the stage in Chicago. Before they started a completely unrelated business. And they exposed me to a lot of classic cinema. And to this day, my favorite movie is a movie called Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Perfect film, made by the people who made James Bond, go figure. Written by Ian Fleming. And Peter Lamont, who was the production designer on Titanic, who won one of the 11 Oscars, was an assistant art director on that movie as a kid, as a younger man. It's amazing. Yeah, all out of Pinewood. Watch that movie if you haven't seen it. Mom and Dad, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Sound of Music, Singing in the Rain. Gene Kelly. He was the reason I kind of wanted to get into it. A super talent, who then became a great director, a great choreographer. He always was, I guess. But a stuntman, dancer, chaplain, lover. I think if you are interested in this pursuit, for any of you, and I've spoken to a couple would-be young actors and actresses in the mix. Lisa, if you're in the house, there you are. Do it. I'm telling you. Start, studying. Now you can start online, without having to go anywhere. And then I went to a production here at the Her Majesty's Theatre, and I saw Agatha Christie's play. And then there were none. So there's, great theaters, national theaters. But start studying. School play, always a good start. And as a result, the favorite character I got to play in that time, over the years, is the Phantom, honestly. The most fun performance, however, was a little movie called Demon Knight, Tales from the Crypt, which is a starter drug for horror comedy, a lost genre to a degree. I mean, they finally picked it up with Zombieland and things like that. But I like the catch and release and the scare and the false sense of security that comes with humor in horror movies. I'm not a big horror fan, but that movie is really fun. But the Phantom was probably my favorite character to answer your question.
And we have a question here.
Hi, Billy. My question is, throughout your career, what have been your favorite highlight of all time?
Question was, throughout your
Did anyone get that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Question was, throughout your career, what was your favourite highlight? So other than favourite actor or something like that. For you personally, what's been the high point?
It's an interesting question, thank you. It's a curious job, and one I'm most grateful for. But it's the access that it provides, be it to heads of state or captains of industry or just my next door neighbor. People love movies, and it's such a interesting calling card, and a responsibility to some degree. And it's not so much the best experience would be, certainly on set working with a group of people trying to solve for X and make something worthy and lasting. But the strange places you find yourself and the strange things you do. So, the most extraordinary are when you're in a film and when you're doing things that you wouldn't normally For instance, we spoke about this the other day. There are scenes in this film, in the Phantom, that were cut out. Wrestling a lion. When do you do that? And they cut it out. What the hell? That was random. Working with, just strange, you find yourself, peculiarities like that you would normally not encounter, you do with this job. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. Because those are, strange moments.
I'm not even going to ask that at all. All right, question.
What was it like portraying Marlon Brando?
First, I want to know, what is the deciding factor that makes you light certain questions and not light certain questions?
The lighting in the room.
Okay,
so
good to know.
Some of these you can easily see, some we can't see the faces.
You shine them, and then there's something.
And then there's interesting. There are just some that we shouldn't shine a light on. It's just that
you got to see this person. Just want to know why. I thought it was on something on his shirt, which is cool. Yeah. What's the question?
What was it like playing Marlon Brando?
Oh, him. Gosh. That was an amazing... Exactly. Kind of weird. So wow, because on this kid. Hey. It was counterintuitive. I produced the movie as well. It was a passion project. For 6 years we were working on it. We started in COVID, we stopped. Most of it takes place in Tahiti, and it's not a cradle-to-grave biopic. We focused on a 5-year period, a slice of his life where he was in his happy space, really. Known at that time for his work in civil rights, marching with the king and giving a percentage of his profits to his foundation after his murder, for indigenous rights and focusing the world's attention on First Nation in America at a time when they were, short end of the stick. And this focused upon his forward-thinking vision for environmental rights. In 1969, no one was thinking about sustainable architecture and best practices and the impact that would have in the future. And here we are today dealing with those effects, with atolls disappearing due to rising sea levels. And this year's foraging from one such off Tahiti, on his island of Tetiaroa. And it's a unique relationship between him and his architect, played by John Heder from Napoleon Dynamite, wonderful actor, really fun. And it's a charming and fun, if not funny, movie about this unlikely friendship trying to, solve these future problems in real time and bring power and water to his island without fossil fuels. Again, in 1970, no one was thinking like this. It was bizarre to think, the most famous actor in the world was, well, it wasn't. I mean, honestly, the math I do is that it was his curiosity that made him the best actor. It was that made him such a good actor. He was fascinated by the microverse, by science, by equanimity and humanity, full of contradictions and mercurial, and dealt with his own family trauma drama. But he was. So I'm painting this picture to answer the question, which was, what was it like playing him? One, it was awesome and an incredible responsibility, of course, but the way with which to approach that seemingly insurmountable task was to, I felt, do it as, the question I asked was, how would Marlon play this? And the answer was, close your ears, young man, to not give a shit. Just really, like he wouldn't care. he'd care, but he would not obsess. And an actor playing that actor, it's, we're all, at the temple of Brando, of course, every actor is to remove that sycophantic kind of praise and just come at it like, again, very counterintuitively. It took a Herculean effort to abandon the responsibility and the pressure and just simply be and let him kind of wash over me and roll with it, And it was fun to play that way and to improvise as him while we served up these meticulous recreations of The Godfather and Last Tango in Paris, a few key interviews with Dick Cavett and Johnny Carson, to the point where it was like if you had the two screens together, it was hard to tell who was who. It was like really the whole team, from makeup, hair, lighting, we all just, it was so crafted. So all of the scenes on the island was such a refreshing departure of this funny, gregarious trickster who loved practical jokes. You see a side of him you didn't see. But in order to play that truth, that resonated with his family to the point where his daughter Rebecca would look at pictures or look at scenes and say, "Wait a minute, is that Daddy or you?" It's like, cool. Looks like we, that's a good sign. I think we nailed that, which was nice. The movie comes out September 19th. I'm very proud of it. A little a review came out on Rotten Tomatoes that was leaked, and it was really. I recommend reading it because it's good. But the writer got it in terms of really understood Marlon and the why behind the movie. But it was fun to do, no question. Sorry for that long answer. Clearly, I like the sound of my own voice.
I was just chuckling because it had our auto voice to text as we do for hearing impaired people. Said, when you were talking about the review, it said, the writer, God, understood what I was doing. So I thought, well, Billy, this guy's got connections, obviously. So, now, other than the extremely talented gentleman we have on stage, here at Supanova we have some other talented people as well. One of whom is a very, very talented artist by the name of Hank, who, Billy, we have a little something for you. So if we can come to the stage, please. They just give me a heads up that this was all happening, and now I'm standing. Here we go. Come on out. Give him a big round of applause. Don't be shy. It's okay.
What do we got?
We've got this portrait.
Thank you for listening or watching us. Again, a big shout out to the fans who helped us record these. We couldn't do it without you. Our website is chroniclechamber.com and email is chroniclechamber@gmail.com. We would love to hear your thoughts, feedback and opinions on our social media platforms or over at the YouTube channel. You can subscribe to us via YouTube or through your favourite podcast apps including iTunes or Spotify. Thank you, please get in contact with us, and as always, happy Phantom.
The phantom's always there, but you won't find the phantom.